Hey, I'm Dan, and this is Dan's Planes. Captain's Log 51023. So, this is another edition of So What Happened This Time. So, I got this engine dialed in with a friend of mine at an event several months ago towards the end of last year. We got it to where we could even hand flip it and start it, and it was running beautifully. So it sat for several months, and then I broke it out about a week ago, and I flew it, and it dead sticked on me. I got it landed okay, thankfully, no issues. So then I tested on the ground and was having all kinds of issues where if I tried to take it to low idle, it may go to a low idle like it's supposed to, and it would sound good and everything was okay. But sometimes it would not. Sometimes it would go down and it was still at 3/4 to half throttle when it should have been low idle. So I fiddled with it and couldn't get it working right. Then about a week later, I brought it to the Hilltop Fun Fly, which you'll see videos of the Hilltop Fun Fly I posted on the channel. And I brought it there and had another guy look at it with me, and we tried tweaking a little bit, and we got it to where it seemed like it was running okay on the ground, of course. But then once it was up there flying, when I came in for a landing, the idle was way too high, which I still somewhat greased the landing, but I was going too fast. So I ran off the what do you call that stuff? The black stuff that you nail down to the ground. Perma turf or something. I don't know. But anyway, went off of that into the grass, and it was going so fast it lifted back up again, which has happened to me several times on landing. So I've got to be really careful, because when I take off, when this tail picks up, it wants to nose over. Then when I land, it wants to nose over. So I've got to not do up elevator too quickly when I'm taking off, and then not hold the elevator too much towards the end of landing. Otherwise, it lifts back up again. So I'm not getting used to it well enough. So I'll put the landing that I'm talking about here after this comment. The comment is, after this landing, I then broke the tail. So now I've got to fix that. And I noticed that the front of the canopy, the covering, is coming up a bit. So I need to take off what's coming up, wipe it all down with alcohol really good, and put new covering on it. So let's go look at that video now, and you'll see why I have to repair this tail, and you'll see what I'm talking about coming in too fast, because the idle would not settle down. Ah! So I've broken the front leading edge and the trailing edge of the rudder. So one way to fix it could be to dig out this hinge, which then would allow the whole unit to come out. Then glue this, glue all around the edges to glue it back on. Use high sol and all that stuff. That's one way. Another way to do it would be to cut out some of the leading edge here, drill out the leading edge down there, glue in a new piece of leading edge to go through, and you cut it at a slant angle so you get more surface area to glue it on. What I found, and has worked very well for me in the past, because I may have broken a few vertical fins and rudders off in my day, is that you glue the broken parts, because really, even though this broke in a real dirty way, it's still, you get the glue mixed up in there and it'll be just about as good as new. And go ahead and glue around the edges. Remove this covering first, then use what can be used as leading edge stock, quarter round, and you use this here as a support, and you end up rounding the front edge, rounding the back edge, putting glue on both sides of the surface, so that connects it from vertical fin to fuselage. And although the wood grain goes in a way that it could break if, again, the tail were to move this way or this way by hitting it on the ground again, I've found that usually it just doesn't break. It's been a real good sport. So that's going to be the plan of attack for this guy. So first step is shaping these, and after they're shaped, then removing, outlining what I need to remove for covering. Then glue them in, then cover it up, and nobody will ever notice. Nobody will be the wiser. On to that. This is what the balsa looks like after it's been sanded down, so it's smoother. Still has angle to it. Had to sand the angle a bit to get it to match up. So that's where it's going to go, just like that. And then I traced around it with a pen. So now I can cut that out. This is sheeted foam, FYI. So I've got that for both sides now. There's the other one. So time to cut that off and then mix up some high sol and get that thing going. And here it is with the high sol put on. And it's kind of nice, the high sol is white, so don't have to worry about that blending in. So I apply it with this, which is just a piece of plastic that's thinned down pretty thin on one side, not as thin on the other side. And I think I got this with a foamy model, maybe even my SR-71 Blackbird, but I just keep it cleaned off with rubbing alcohol, and I love how it lets me shape the epoxy that I'm putting on and also scrape up any extra, and then just putting some alcohol on a paper towel and wiping off around the edges to get everything nice and smooth and clean before we put the monocoat on top. So this has to cure for 24 hours. So it's in the evening now, so it'll be the evening tomorrow before it's finally cured, and then need to get monocoat on it, and then she'll be ready to rock and roll again after I fiddle more with the engine, figure out what's going on with that dang low idle. Here's the final product. So not my best monocoating, but passable. I did this kind of as an oval instead of squared shape. I've read and seen other people do that, saying that corners can pop up, so you just eliminate corners and make it round, and then you won't have issues with them popping up. This side, oh, I gotta wipe off my my pen marks. A little bit of acetone, take that right off. There we go. She's done. If you found this interesting, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. And if you think this content is worth it, you're welcome to visit my Patreon page. Under the link in the description, you can just throw in, price of a cup of coffee a month and try to fund getting a better camera and better microphone and future projects. But if not, no big deal. I wish you blue skies and good speed.